Blizzy King. You're now rocking with Uncle D. Blizzy King. You're now rocking with Uncle D. Hit subscribe.
Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bass sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father. I have black sons. Hey, man, I do what I do.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law. This long-running fraud was intentional, egregious, illegal. No one is above the law.
New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted on criminal bank fraud charges.
Hey guys, it's Leash. Listen. So apparently, my AG, Attorney General Letitia James here in the state of New York, has been indicted. And apparently the indictment is around a mortgage that she was taking out or helping her niece with. I'm assuming there's some type of shadiness that they're claiming took place with that whole situation. But I don't think this is anything but smoke and mirrors by Trumpy Bear and his peanut gallery. They're grasping at straws, y'all. They are trying any and everything to get out of whatever they have been in for God knows how long. Letitia James, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen her. If you're in New York State, you know, like, she is like steel. Like, nothing freaking gets to her, y'all. I'm like, would love to be that strong. I think I'm a pretty strong person, but when I tell you this woman is not phased, I've never seen her frazzled. She is always poised and looking like, try me. So, all that to say, I can't imagine that she is even phased by this. I'm pretty sure she was planning on additional stuff being thrown her way, given everything that she has been trying to do to bring old Trumpy Bear down. But yeah, she was indicted, y'all, today. This is crazy. Let me know in the comments if you know more about this information. But I'm betting, like I said, this is just smoke and mirrors. Our girl will be okay. I'm putting it out there. She's going to be okay. And Trump and his cronies, they're going down. It's obvious. They can't keep it together. You know what I'm saying?
Trump indicting Letitia James on one count of fraud, when the previous AG of Virginia already looked into dozens of witnesses and couldn't find any evidence. So Trump fired that person, hired his former personal lawyer just to bring up phony charges. And the gag is, Letitia James helped her niece buy a house in Virginia. There was a document that said that that house was going to be Letitia James's primary residence. After that was discovered, Letitia James filled out another document correcting it and emailed her realtor saying, "This is not going to be my primary residence." And that is what Donald Trump is basing this entire indictment on. A lawyer. A lawyer that sued the fuck out of him and won. How does Donald Trump think this is going to end? I just genuinely did not think I was going to be making any more posts tonight. Tomorrow I'd already planned on putting a couple TikTok shop videos up and some cooking videos. It was gonna be a smooth, no stress, no politics weekend. Psych! Psych! What? I cannot wait to hear Letitia James's comments on video. I want her to flame this man because, ooh, and like, it's never going to stick because Trump already accidentally posted on Truth Social that he was going to do anything in his power to get back at his enemies, Comey and Letitia James. So like, this is not based on reality, but like, why aren't we here? I just need a break. I need to make more thirst traps or something because this is ridiculous. Fucking hell. God, this man. Okay, I'm better. Dear God, to be continued. Because what?
What's up, y'all? What y'all doing? The boomerang has came back around to hit her in the ass, okay? Who you may think I'm talking about? Well, Letitia James, child. Letitia James. The grand jury just indicted her ass on fraud, okay? Yes, about 23 minutes ago.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding. All because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless.
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? The same shit she was trying to get Trump on, she's actually getting indicted on. Crazy. Girl, this don't got nothing to do with Trump, okay? You lied, okay? We caught you. You lied, okay? It don't got nothing to do with him. You the one who signed your name on some bank papers, okay? Fraudulent. So please stop with the narrative. This is baseless. Girl, stop. You're still lying. Shut up. Where's Trump? Has Trump tweeted about this shit yet? Because I want to see his reaction, okay? Woo! It's just getting better and better. This is one hell of a year for you. One hell of a year. I can't imagine what you're going to do in the next 3 years. Damn, we got 3 more years of Trump. Life is good. Life is good. Yeah, Letitia James has been indicted on bank fraud, okay? There's no allegedly on this channel today, okay? This is facts. This is truth. If you don't believe me, go look it up, okay? But Trump, you got people scared. Scared.
Carol, explain the charges and what is in this indictment.
Happy to do it. There is 1 count of bank fraud and 1 count of false statements indicted against Letitia James. It involves a Norfolk, Virginia property that she purchased in August of 2020. The claim is, at least in the indictment, that she bought this property with financing that implied she would reside in the home as a secondary residence. And the claim is that she actually rented the property and did not occupy it, and thereby, according to the indictment, saving or making, depending on your phrasing, $19,000 improperly and illegally. And of course, as you know, and as you have said several times on this program, this has been disputed heatedly by both James and her attorney, Abby Lowell, as vindictive prosecution and a case that will not stand.
So New York Attorney General Letitia James has officially been indicted. This is the same woman who, prior to becoming the Attorney General of New York, was on video saying how she was going to be going after President Trump during his first term, saying how she was going to be suing him on multiple occasions, saying how she was practically going to be a pain in his ASS. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're running for a position of law, you should not be on videotape saying how you're going to be targeting an individual, a president at that. I wonder who was behind putting her up to that. At any rate, you guys, she was indicted for the very thing she went after President Trump on, which was fraud. Reportedly, she put her dad's name down as her husband on a mortgage application in order to get a cheaper rate, which she said she just made a mistake. Yeah, I'm going to mistakenly put my dad as my husband on a mortgage application. Okay, whatever. And then, reportedly, she owned some apartment houses or something, and she put down that she had less than what she actually had in order to get a cheaper rate. So it's just interesting, you guys, that now she's been indicted for the same thing she went after Trump on. And get this, prior to President Trump becoming reelected, I saw how the media started forming a narrative that he was going to be going after his political opponents and seeking retribution for his political opponents. Pretty much the same thing that the corrupt, senile president who was in office that pardoned several of his family members, including his crackhead son, how they targeted Republicans nonstop, and then President Trump, moreover, had his home raided, where they reportedly planted evidence at his home, okay? Reportedly said that they had the command to kill if they could, if he was there. Okay, so it was just a lot of corruption, a lot of stuff going on. And the whole thing is that they were trying to keep him from being re-elected, which he was in a landslide, if I might add. But I believe that they were counting on the events of Butler, Pennsylvania last year, you know, that assassination attempt. They were counting on that to be successful, because prior to that assassination attempt, you had president, or resident, whatever you want to call him, Joe Biden, on video saying that it was time to put President Trump in the bull's eye. And then days later, you had that attempt on his life. And thanks to God, he was spared. So right when they saw that we done raided his home, we done went after him with the lawfare, we didn't went after his kids, we didn't use the media nonstop, all these bought and paid for puppets in the media nonstop to spew negative rhetoric on him. We tried to give him a title of a convicted felon. We didn't got a mugshot out of him. We did everything we can to keep the American people from voting for him again. And it looks like he's going to be reelected either way it goes. Now let us get in front of the story and say that if he is reelected, he's just going to try to go after his political opponents and seek retribution. Ain't that like the devil? At any rate, you guys, we're going to let justice take her course, okay? If she's guilty, hopefully she will be convicted and imprisoned. She did try to assess a $500 million fine to President Trump. $500 million, and then had the nerve to talk about the Constitution. Isn't that in the Constitution where you're not supposed to impose excessive fines? At any rate, you guys, we'll see what happens. I'm in agreement with someone else. We got the indictment. If she's guilty, she needs to be not only indicted, but charged and incarcerated. So we'll see what happens, because guess what? No one is above the law.
The Trump administration has indicted Letitia James. The regime of Donald Trump, it's just being announced, has indicted Attorney General Letitia James. A single count of bank fraud, which is a felony. Supposedly, allegedly, she signed some paperwork for a mortgage for a niece. And whatever was in that paperwork, he's saying is fraudulent. Democrat Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted by 34-time felon Donald Trump. And Dominique said, and y'all know who Dominique is, imagine, bitch, that Dominique said when it happened to James Comey that they always test it on their own first before they bring it to the other people. Now, we all know this is just punishment for him being held accountable for his crimes in New York. And I don't believe it's going to go anywhere, because touch not my anointed, do my prophets no harm. But God only knows what's going to come next. This is what y'all wanted. Y'all happy now?
New York Attorney General indicted on charges of fraud? Let's talk about it. Disclaimer, y'all already know I got my notes, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. So the short and skinny of this is many people feel like this is a political persecution. And the reason why they feel like that is because a few weeks ago, the head of the administration, DJT, that's what I'm going to say because I'm not going to say his name on this page, okay? DJT sent a email or a private message, or what he thought was private, to the Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. And in that message, he was pressing her on when charges or indictments would be filed against people who he considered to be his political enemies. Those individuals included James Comey. If you know, you know, he was indicted on charges earlier this week. Today, charges or indictments have been filed against Letitia James. And the third person that he mentioned in that message was Adam Schiff, or as he likes to call him, Adam Shifty Schiff. Now, James is being indicted on charges of bank fraud, as well as making false statements to a financial institution. But what I really find interesting is who is leading these indictments. The person who is leading these indictments is Lindsay Halligan, all right? Now, Lindsay is currently serving as the interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. And she just got into that role like a few weeks ago. I don't even think she's been in the position a month. But what I really want to talk about is Lindsay's accelerated rise to power, all right? Now, Lindsay, who is 36 years old, graduated from law school in 2018, all right? And before she got this role as the interim head of the Eastern District of Virginia, the U.S. Attorney's Office, she has had no experience serving as a prosecutor. This particular branch of the U.S. Attorney's Office normally handles complex national security cases, as well as they prosecute other cases. She has no experience. The first time that she has ever filed an indictment to prosecute someone was with James Comey, and that was 3 days ago. She has no experience. I want to emphasize that she has no experience serving as a prosecutor. Now, what she does have experience in is the insurance industry. Before coming to power with DJT and his administration, she served as an insurance attorney in the state of Florida. Once she got connected to the administration, she became the special assistant to the president. And before that role, she served as the White House Senior Associate Staff Secretary. Now, up until a few weeks ago, Lindsay was also leading the investigation into exhibits at the Smithsonian, okay? And I literally did a post a few weeks ago about these investigations, and she was the woman that was speaking at the beginning of the clip. So she certainly has risen to power really quickly. And like I said before, for her to hold such a prestigious role as the head or the interim head of the Eastern District of Virginia's Attorney General's office is very, very interesting. But get down in the comments and let me know how you think this whole thing with Letitia James will play out. Do you think that they have a case, or do you think that this will be thrown out before trial, or do you think that she will be found innocent or guilty? Let me know. If you found value in this post, please make sure to like as well as share. And don't forget to follow the Black Dust Society, where I talk about pop culture, politics, and money.
Project 2025 is in full fucking swing. The Justice Department just indicted New York Attorney General Letitia James, even though there is no evidence of her committing criminal wrongdoing. If you're unaware, Donald Trump has major beef with Letitia James because she won a civil fraud case against him, his raggedy sons, and his business, and it ended up in making Donald Trump pay out $380 million, which he has not paid yet and is trying to appeal. Okay, and the wild thing about it is that people who have been prosecutors their entire lives, they were digging, grasping for things to try to charge her at Donald Trump's command, and they were never able to find any evidence that she knowingly committed mortgage fraud. But Donald Trump doesn't care. He just wants charges against her because in his head, that is his top op. And he said, in my mind, she's very guilty of something, but I really don't know. And so the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia presented evidence today seeking an indictment on charges of mortgage fraud. I'm just thinking of all of the people who said that Kamala Harris was being dramatic when she said that Donald Trump had an enemies list. And every day it makes more and more sense why Joe Biden pardoned so much of his family members, because we see this man, Donald, he will come after anyone for no reason at all. Like, he will literally fabricate things to try to get you charged. I don't see this having like any type of legal standing, but we will see how it plays out.
James said about them indicting her. Did y'all see what Letitia James said about them indicting her? Yeah, they indicted her. Watch this.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president, is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
I love me some black women. She said, I sure did prosecute Dookie Booty and his motherfucking organization and his sons, and they was found liable for fraud. Yeah, I did that shit. And I do it again. Bop, bop. Letitia ain't scared of you, Dookie. And now they mad. Now they mad and want to come after me and try to trump up some motherfucking bullshit ass, baseless ass charges that ain't gonna stick. She ain't scared of you or your prosecutor who ain't got no prosecutorial experience at all. This is the woman that's gonna be prosecuting her. Yeah, little Miss Filter Barbie right here. Looking like she got a full filter on in real life. But this bitch ain't got no goddamn experience. She became a lawyer in 2018. And she was an insurance lawyer until 2022 when Trump hired her on. But now she's just coming after his political enemies. That's her job. And this bitch about to lose her fucking license. Yeah, she gonna lose her law license fucking around with Dookie Booty. Because, bitch, what is you doing? She don't know. I can't wait till all this shit blow up in their face. Did y'all see what Letitia James?
Okay, y'all, so Attorney General Letitia James, y'all, was actually indicted yesterday. Okay, so a federal jury in Virginia on Thursday yesterday indicted New York Attorney General Letitia James on charges of bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution after a prosecutor handpicked by Donald Trump, y'all, okay, presented evidence to that panel. Now, even though everyone else is stating that they know this evidence is honestly, like, not valid enough, but they saying that James is a longtime antagonist of Trump, who recently publicly called for criminal charges to be filed against her and former FBI Director James Comey. The former FBI Director, like I said before, okay, y'all, Comey was indicted in late September by a grand jury that heard evidence from Lindsey Halligan, the same Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, y'all, for the Eastern District of Virginia, who obtained the indictment Thursday against James. Alright, y'all, listen, Ms. James actually previously sued Trump in a civil case in New York that led to him and his company being held liable for business fraud, okay, y'all? So this is kind of sort of like, you get what I'm saying? And the 5-page indictment issued Thursday accuses James of making false statements in connection with a Fannie Mae-backed mortgage of about $109,600, okay, y'all, that she obtained to buy a 3-bedroom home in Norfolk, Virginia in August of 2020. James, whose primary residence at the time was in Brooklyn, New York, okay, y'all, is accused of lying on a rider to that mortgage, which required her to use the Norfolk home as a secondary residence and not rent the property, according to indictment. But instead of using it as her second home, the indictment alleges that she rented it to a family of 3. Now, the indictment alleges that James alleged a total purported ill-gotten gains were only about $19,000 over the life of the loan she received. Most of the money was some savings James allegedly received from a lower interest rate on the mortgage that she would have to pay if the home was classified as a rental investment. Now, basically, y'all, the property, now Lindsay Holligan, who was the Trump appointed attorney, okay, y'all, she stated that no one is above the law. The charges as alleged in this case represented intentional criminal acts and tremendous breaches of public trust, okay, y'all. This was a statement that she made after she obtained the indictment in the Alexandria federal court. Now, the fact in the law, y'all, in this case are clear, and we will continue to following them and to ensure the justice is served. This is what the people are saying again, y'all. And James said in the statement, y'all, that called the charges baseless, and she said that nothing is more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization for our justice system. And she's 100% fucking correct, okay, y'all? Because he is enforcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because she did her job, which was what she said, y'all, in the New York State. Because she was doing her job as the New York State Attorney General, you get what I'm saying? He was upset about her doing her job properly. So they're going to find this type of shit to basically have a reason to lock her up and shit, or fuck with her for real. And she said that Trump's own public statements made clear that his loyal goal is political retribution at any cost, and that the president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from the members of both parties. And it's the truth, y'all. It really is. He said they're stating that basically his decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law but to the president is anti-ethical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders of both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. She's not wrong, y'all, because you have to make this shit make sense. Trump is literally firing people who are not agreeing with him and doing what the fuck they want to do, and then he's hiring those who's going to say, okay, I'll lock her up, I'll press charges, you get what I'm saying? Like, make this shit make sense, okay, y'all? So James was ordered to make her first appearance in the case on October 24th in the United States District Court in Norfolk, Virginia. Okay, y'all, so let's just keep tuning and let's see what the fuck is going on.
Okay, so if you haven't heard the breaking news of the past hour, New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted by a grand jury in Virginia for charges of mortgage fraud and false statements. This is the case where the former U.S. attorney for that region resigned his office because he was under pressure to bring these charges and did not see it as justified, and abandoned his position, resigned his office in order to not do something that he knew would violate his oath of office and would violate his obligations as a lead prosecutor. So in typical Trump fashion, replaced him with someone who was willing to do his bidding, who doesn't care anything about breaking the law. And now the grand jury has indicted Tish James. If you're wondering how an indictment can even happen if there's no there, listen, the reason why they say a grand jury will indict a ham sandwich and that the grand jury belongs to the prosecutor is because it really is that easy. The standard is very low and a prosecutor can go in and get an indictment. But that doesn't mean that the case itself is not a complete and utter joke. If you want to see AG Tish James's full statement, go to the New York State's Attorney website to get her statement there. I knew there was a reason. I have on my Howard University School of Law sweatshirt today. She is a Howard lawyer, which means she is also a social engineer. She's made of stronger stock than this. And as she said in her own statement, she is not afraid. And she also knows, as a person of faith, that no weapon formed against her shall prosper. So listen, I'm with her. I am with her, and for anyone who is on the side of right and on the side of democracy in this hour. And that is not our president, who would have the unmitigated gall to press a frivolous selective prosecution case like this, while the very people in the courthouse who were forced to hear it and work are not getting paid. This man does not care about Americans. He's after his petty grievances. He's checking off his enemies list. I wonder who told us it would be this way. I just shared my thoughts on Don's show, Don Lemon Live at 5, so you can go see remarks there about what I think about the legalities of the case. But I'm here to tell you guys, buck up. We will win if we don't quit. I don't care what it looks like.
Grand jury indicts New York Attorney General Letitia James on bank fraud charges. Listen, y'all, this is nasty work. I ain't gonna front. Trump is really standing on business. Listen, if you Trump's op, you going to fucking prison. I ain't gonna lie. Anybody that tried to go against Trump, you know what I'm saying, before he was elected, and everybody that went at him to try to get him fucking all them indictments he got, yeah, it's his turn now. So he already got James Comey the fuck out of here. And now he's coming after Letitia James, you know what I'm saying? They found some bank fraud. Apparently she named one of her properties as a second home that she lived in just to get the loan, but she really didn't live there. Yeah, they combed through her fucking finances and they found something. Yeah, they I don't know, it's looking bad. She got a home in Norfolk that she was supposed to be living in that she ain't living in. So, yeah, that's a crime apparently for falsifying documents. But really, it just, you went against Trump. That was where you fucked up at, man. My son's standing on business. Nasty work.
And then there's the petty in me. Well. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted. And there's a part of me that doesn't care. And then there's the petty in me. There's petty in me. And I want to see this case go to trial. I just wonder what it would be like for her to have her life and career placed on the line, scrutinized, right? I wonder. I want to see this case go to trial just to set precedents. It's time to put these career politicians and people in power on notice. If you politicize your office and target people for personal political gain, you too should face the same scrutiny you dish out. No immunity and no free passes. President Trump has become her worst nightmare, and I'm sure it was not on her bingo card that he would become the 47th president of the United States.
New York Attorney General Letitia James indicted in federal court on bank fraud charges. It just came out moments ago, Trey, but I wanted to see if you had a reaction.
Well, she's presumed innocent. I'll start with that. They never include that with Trump, but it's the right thing to start with. You're presumed innocent. It's just a charge. The irony is crushing. She ran for office promising to go after Donald Trump. I don't recall him running for office promising to go after her, but if the facts are there, if you and I would be indicted for lying on a mortgage application or lying on an application for a bank loan, well, so should she. The fact that you're the AG does not provide legal immunity from your criminal act. So she's presumed innocent. She'll get a jury trial. I hope that her jury is more fair to her than Donald Trump's judges have been to him.
Focus on Donald Trump. We need to follow his money. What is fueling my soul right now is Trump.
This illegitimate president. I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, and then going home.
Will you sue him for us? Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president.
And I say to all the friends here, look, this may get worse before it gets better. I learned that the Attorney General of New York just got indicted, even though the prosecutor who first looked at the case, who I'm told is a very conservative Republican, said there was not enough evidence. And then Trump puts in place a incompetent person to make the decision to implement his vengeance agenda. But think about it, the Attorney General of the state of New York has been indicted when a previous prosecutor, who probably did not vote for her or me, said there was not enough evidence. Today, which is, like I think so many here, getting beyond the being overwhelmed and realizing we gotta fight. And we gotta fight fire with fire.
New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted on criminal bank fraud charges. James is being accused of having falsified records to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. We'll keep up with that story as it develops.
This is what New York Attorney General Letitia James posted on X February the 16th, 2024.
When powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage, and if they did, our government would throw the book at them. There simply cannot be different rules for different people, and I agree with you 100%. Remember, no one is above the law. Let me know what you guys think about today's video. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure you give me a follow. Follow me on YouTube as well at Tracetainment, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.
When are people going to realize that Kamala was right when she said once Trump hits the White House, he will go after his enemies list? And in today's news on Thursday, October the 9th, New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted in the state of Virginia for mortgage fraud. Again, one of his political opponents who he does not like. Now, when Letitia James was campaigning for Attorney General, she campaigned on going after Trump and his sons and their real estate business. And she won that civil lawsuit. And now he's going after her. And again, when are people going to realize that Kamala was right? Here we go again. But what I can say about her, she's not afraid of him. And I can't wait to see what this outcome is going to be with her case.
You Trump supporters need to understand something. What Donald Trump has just done to Letitia James, sister Letitia James, you might as well have just ushered her right into the White House. And what was the reason he indicted her? Something petty like what? 1 count of bank fraud and 1 count of making false statements to financial institutions? And this is after Trump admitted he was going to prosecute her? Well, let's listen to what Sister Letitia James has to say.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith. And I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
Thank you, Sister Letitia James, for being 110% honest about how you feel. We're not fearful, we're fearless. This case, it deserves to be balled up like toilet tissue and flushed down the toilet after you do something, very nasty in the bathroom, because that's basically what this is all boiling down to. Donald Trump is weaponizing the Department of Justice to go after his political rivals, and he's only doing it because guess what? His poll numbers are in the toilet. Yes, everyone can see right through Donald Trump right now. He is so desperate every day. Publicity stunt after publicity stunt to try to mask his incompetence. Yeah, the government is shut down. Grocery prices through the roof. Our utility bills, they're through the roof. Egg prices, yeah, everything through the roof. He's not meeting the quota when it comes to the mass deportations. He's getting his butt kicked every time he goes into court, yeah. And the Supreme Court, they see it and they say, this is so disgusting. He's so terrible at his job. We can't even help him. You know, like he tried to get them to help him with the Jeffrey Epstein situation. You know, when Ghislaine Maxwell had the audacity to try to make an appeal to the Supreme Court so that she could get out and not serve 20 years for being an SA trafficker. She got no love at the Supreme Court, but she sure did get a lot of love from Donald Trump and his supporters when he moved her to that minimum security prison. Yeah. So all I gotta say is good job, MAGA. Your dear leader, he sure is hitting it out of the park. I'm sure everyday Americans now think he's doing a swell job. You Trump supporters, keep falling for it, all right?
I want to talk about something with you all tonight, man, and this is kind of a conversation that it really has a lot to do. It relates a lot to do with your own self-respect and your own dignity and valuing yourself. And that's kind of like the overarching story. You guys see the thumbnail. And what you see there is several prominent attorneys, several prominent public figures who are attorneys. You see Marilyn Mosby. You see who else you got up there? You got Eric Adams. I believe I put him, even though he's not an attorney, he's still an official. You got a gentleman named Marquinza LaPont, or Mark LaPont, out of Florida. You got just some different folks, man. Alvin Bragg, Harvard graduate, you know, all these guys, man. And of course, you got the two ladies out of the one lady down there from, what's her name? Fannie Willis out of Georgia. And then Letitia James, who is the Attorney General of New York. Now, the one thing they all have in common is this. And let me say, thank you all for coming. Shout out to everybody who continues hitting me up with the super chat and the Cash App. I want to roll through this. It's important. Shout out to my man, International Quiet Storm. He says, support Black male media. Thank you so much. And Glenn Curtis, and super big, major, fantastic, outstanding shout out to Trey43TX. But you know, and then I'll definitely make sure I give a shout out to everybody when I get towards the end of this discussion. But I want to do this. This is important because, you know, a lot of you all go to school, you work hard, and even if you don't, you go to higher education, you may do something like go, you know, work your way up through a company, man, blue collar workers. And then you would just throw yourself in a line of fire for people who don't deserve it. All right? People, listen up. Listen good. We're talking about a game here, a high stakes game, where the players are set up for a loss before they even make their first move. In the vast sea of 1.3 million attorneys in America, only 4.5% are Black. That's like 50,000, more or less. It's 50,000 attorneys out of 1.3 million. Okay? Now tell me, how do we find ourselves in a situation where the leading attorneys against Trump are all people, all Black? Huh? Of all people, they Black. Marquinza LaPont, the Attorney General for South Florida, Alvin Bragg, the District Attorney for New York, Fannie Willis, the Georgia Attorney down there in Atlanta, Letitia James, the Attorney General at the forefront in New York. This isn't just a matter of chance. It's a strategic play in the justice system where the Black prosecutors' roles are as highlighted as the charges they're bringing. But here's the kicker. It reeks of the setup. Somebody type setup in the chat room. Look at what happened to Marilyn Mosby the other day. She got dragged through the mud, her career, her reputation put through the ringer. And now these black attorneys are walking into the same trap. Somebody type trap in the chat room. Somebody type trap house in the chat room. If Trump swings back into power, the backlash they'll face won't just be a slap on the wrist. It could destroy them professionally, personally, completely. They're being built up only to be potentially to be torn down in a vicious cycle of political and racial gamesmanship. So what's the lesson here? Don't be a pawn in someone else's game, especially when they don't care one bit about you. These attorneys, they're being used in the larger game of political chess. And if things go south, guess who's going to be the sacrifice first? That's right, them. This is the harsh reality for these black attorneys in these high-profile cases. They're walking a tightrope with no safety net. It's a stark reminder of the treacherous dynamics of race and politics in the American legal system. Wake up and see the play before it's too late. Now, let's get into it. We're talking about Marilyn Mosby and Eric Adams, two high-profile names that have been through the ringer. Mosby, as Baltimore's prosecutor, was front and center in the Freddie Gray case. Y'all remember him? Cops threw him in the back of a car. He didn't buckle him down. He ended up breaking his neck, right? She swore to prosecute him and such and so forth. Remember that? She caught heat for what many saw as her playing politics instead of seeking justice. Was she serving the community or was she serving a career? Now let's fast forward to 2020. And she's pulling $90,000 out of her retirement account, crying about COVID hardship while her paycheck's getting fatter. Then there's this Florida real estate hustle, bending rules to get those properties. And she paying for it. Then shift to Eric Adams, NYPD officer, turned New York City mayor. The man's career is a web of controversy, tangled with alleged Turkish connections. This man's over in Turkey all the time. Who knew? I ain't know. Did these ties influence his politics and campaign funding? It looks like he was playing the game for personal gain. And not always looking out for the black community that was watching his back. Or even the people in New York, generally. Here's where it gets deeper. The media. They love to lift up black politicians, put them on the pedestal, only to knock them down hard when the tide turns. It's a double standard, a racial play where black leaders get scrutinized more harshly than their white counterpart. So, what's the takeaway from the journeys of Mosby and Adams? It's a brutal reminder, don't get used. Somebody talk in the chat room, don't get used. Don't be the one who gets played by the system that's rigged against you. If you're not careful, you'll find yourself thrown under the bus, left to bear the brunt of the fallout. It's a game of power, racial dynamics, and media manipulation. If you're not playing smart, you're just another pawn being moved on the board, man. And we need to wake up. Somebody type wake up in the chat room. See, to play for what it is and demand a political system that's fair and just and truly serves the people. Don't let ambition blind you to the real game being played. Now, I find myself engaging in another discussion about Donald Trump in less than 7 days. And this time we're focusing on the individuals prosecuting him. It appears as though someone might be positioning them as scapegoats in this scenario. My interest is not born out of support for Donald Trump as a political figure, but rather a practical concern about my own personal financial implications. I've noticed a significant decrease in my tax payments when he was in his administration, which affects my personal finances more than his personal controversies or actions. So in supporting him, guess what I do? I vote my interest. That's it. However, what intrigues me now is the nature of the prosecution against Trump. If the legal challenges he faced can impact a billionaire like him, it serves as a cautionary tale for the rest of us. My analysis has led me to observe some intriguing similarities among those prosecuting him. They are all black. Somebody type all black in the chat room. And this raises questions about their motivations in the broader political landscape. As we delve deeper into this topic, especially considering the upcoming election cycle, it's crucial to understand the dynamics at play. Understanding these legal proceedings against Trump is key to navigating the political discourse. In discussing the justice system in the United States, there's two distinct systems operating simultaneously. Each state possesses its own set of courts, including district, appellate, and the Supreme Court, creating a unique judicial framework. In parallel, the federal court system operates under a different hierarchy, with the Supreme Court at the apex, presided over by justices, the Supreme Court justices like those you've heard, Clarence Thomas, Ketanji Brown Jackson. And this system branches into various appellate courts, such as the 5th, 11th, 1st, 7th, 9th, 6th, and the DC courts. And it extends further into districts scattered across the nation and other territories, including Puerto Rico and Guam. Now, these two systems overlap. There are certain crimes exclusively tried in federal court. For instance, a drug charge might escalate to a federal crime if the substance crosses state lines. This distinction between federal and state jurisdictions is crucial for a comprehensive understanding of this legal landscape that Donald Trump is dealing with. Some of you all have been charged in state court, and then the feds pick it up. That's the lingo for it. And so you end up doing fed time for what you thought was some state, because it ended up being a conspiracy. Nevertheless, each state typically divides into 4 regions: northern, southern, eastern, western, and occasionally a central district. As far as the feds, overseeing each division is a U.S. attorney responsible for all prosecutions within that area. Now, this person is appointed by the president when it comes to federal court. Now, the question you ask yourself, who's a U.S. attorney that manages the division in Florida where Trump is being prosecuted? The Southern District of Florida, specifically. Well, the U.S. attorney down there, his name is Marquinza LaPont. The U.S. attorney prosecuting Donald Trump in Florida is Marquinza LaPont. This is contrary to the popular media portrayal of a special counsel, Jack Smith, who's been appointed by the Justice Department. No, it's a black man. Mr. LaPont, nominated by President Joe Biden and confirmed by the U.S. Senate. LaPont leads an office comprising nearly 500 attorneys and support professionals. His responsibilities encompass investigating and prosecuting federal crimes in South Florida, as well as litigating civil matters involving the United States. Did you hear me? Who did I say he was appointed by? Donald Trump. Joe Biden. He was appointed by who? Joe Biden. Who's the most likely the person that Donald Trump is going to run against? Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a what? A Democrat. President Trump is a Republican, at least on paper. Bottom line is LaPont, appointed by Joe Biden, has decided to prosecute who? Donald Trump. Now, this is a real lawyer. Let's look at LaPont's professional background, and it's quite distinguished. Before his current appointment, he was a partner at Pillsbury, Winthrop, Shaw, Pittman, LLP, and he dealt with a range of legal matters from commercial and high exposure product liability, professional malpractice, and criminal investigations. Notably, he co-chaired the firm's committee for advancement of diverse attorneys, advocating for the progression of lawyers who have diverse backgrounds. His legal career commenced with a single role as a law clerk, with a significant role as a law clerk for the Supreme Court. He served under Harry Lee Onstead from 1999 to 2001. He did a 2-year term with the Supreme Court in Florida. He was also assistant U.S. Attorney General in the Southern District of Florida from 2002 to 2006. This man has experience. He handled a variety of federal crimes, narcotics, firearms, crime. You know, it's Miami, baby. You know what's going on down there. Mortgage fraud. He has comprehensive legal experience. He was an associate at Boyce, Schiller, and Flexner in the Miami office, so he knows the territory. He did that from 2006 to 2017. This man has experience. He made it to partner. Other thing is he's also a Marine. He's a Marine. So this is he's a Marine, a Desert Storm vet. Got his JD from Florida State University, College of Law. He's a Gulf War veteran, Haitian born, immigrated from Haiti as a teenager, lived in Liberty City, went to Edison High School, went to Miami-Dade College. And this is the man that Donald Trump is being prosecuted by. A black man, an immigrant black man from Haiti. And you could derive what you want from that. And I get it that my brother might feel like he has something to prove, but he earned his position, didn't he? Somebody type he earned it in the chat room. Somebody type he earned it in the chat room. What about Letitia Ann James, the Attorney General from New York? Let's shift focus to New York. Shout out to New York. Let's discuss Letitia Ann James, Attorney General of New York. This role is distinct from the U.S. Attorney as it pertains to a state system. Remember, we went from federal to state. I explained that to you. Now we're back to the state. She is the Attorney General for the whole state of New York. And Mrs. James, she's actively investigating. Now she's prosecuting the business dealings of Trump. You see that? Now, who is she? Well, she's born in 1958. She's a politician. She's an American lawyer. She's also a member of the Democratic Party. Okay, so the first lawyer, he was appointed by a Democratic president. This woman's a member of the Democratic Party. Both of them are black. What's the odds of that? With only 4.5% of the attorneys in America as black attorneys, what's the odds of both of these attorneys so far being black? We'll deal with that. Nevertheless, she made history in 2018 by becoming the first black, first woman in New York elected, the first African-American woman and first woman elected New York's Attorney General. And she succeeded Barbara Underwood. She's from Brooklyn. She went to Lehman College in the Bronx. She's a Howard University, Washington Law School grad. Her career includes notable, she was a public defender. She was an assembly person. She's an assistant attorney general in Brooklyn. Okay. She did a tenure as city council in New York from 2004 to 2013, represented 35th district. That encompassed Brooklyn neighborhoods, Clinton Hill, Fort Greene, Crown Heights, Prospect Heights, Bed-Stuy. Okay. She put in that work. Donald Trump has expressed a lot of dissatisfaction with her on multiple occasions, in court, outside of court, in relation to her prosecution of him. She's black too. Here's another one, Alvin Leonard Bragg Jr. Now, where Ms. James is the Attorney General of the state of New York, he is the district attorney of the city of New York. He's a key figure in these proceedings. Alvin Bragg, like LaPont and James, they play a crucial role in the legal landscape surrounding Trump's case or these prosecutions. All three of these people are black. He was a professor at New York Law School. As I said, he's black. He can trace his roots back to the Bronx. His father's from North Carolina. He's foundational Black America. He got a bachelor's degree from Harvard, a JD from Harvard Law. He clerked for Judge Robert P. Patterson Jr. at the federal judge, which is a big deal. Are y'all with me? Are y'all bored? I'm trying to lay something here. I need y'all to understand. I need y'all to catch up. 3 Black lawyers, all of them prosecuting Donald Trump. He also teaches at New York Law School. He's an intelligent man. These are 3 well-rounded, knowledgeable lawyers. They earned it. Somebody typed they earned it in the chat room. Now, when Bragg decided to prosecute Donald Trump, a lot of the lead prosecutors retired because they thought it was something fishy about that. Remember, the charges revolved around falsifying business records. Why would these lead attorneys retire? On one hand, you got the lead attorneys retired. On the other hand, you got people saying, well, you know, Letitia James, why are you prosecuting this dude? This is a trumped up charge. No pun intended. A little bit more about Bragg. His mama was a school teacher. His daddy was a city worker. He identifies as a Democrat. All of these people I find intriguing. Mackenzie Lamont, Bragg, and James, all of them Black. What's the odds of that? How many Black lawyers are there in the United States? About 50,000. And yet 4 out of 4 of the attorneys prosecuting him. Because the district attorney of Fulton County, Fannie Willis, she's at the forefront and she's trying to prosecute him too. Somebody say RICO charge in the chat room. What's the odds of that? Huh? Who is she? She's a Howard University graduate, HBCU. She got a law license from Emory University Law School, great law school. 16 years as a prosecutor in Fulton County. She was the one that prosecuted all those school teachers back in 2018 for cheating on the test. Somebody say, school teacher. She put the school teachers in jail. Shout out to my man David White. Hey, Unc, about to head to work. Replay squad. Yeah, this is good information, man. She was a chief municipal judge for South Fulton in Georgia. So she was a judge. She's a prosecutor. She'd been in private practice. Well, at least in 2020. She won in 2020. She became a district attorney. Back in 2021, she initiated the criminal investigation into Donald Trump's alleged attempts to sway the Georgia election officials, including Governor, Attorney General, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, through a phone call. Hey, I need y'all to find me 10,000 votes. Somebody type 10,000 in the chat room. Was it 10,000? I need you to find me 10,000 votes. Allegedly, he was trying to find enough votes to surpass Joe Biden. In 2022, as you guys remember, she requested a special grand jury to explore the charges of election interference by Trump and his associates. And so a 26-member grand jury granted investigative authority and subpoena power to determine if a crime was committed. Her investigation also extends to fake electors plot involving high-ranking Republican officials, including 2 senators, Brandon Beach, David Shafter, and the chairman of the Georgia Republican Party. And yes, it's noteworthy to mention that Willis is a Democrat. Woo! That's a lot of powerful people she's trying to prosecute. Somebody type revenge in the chat room. Somebody type revenge in the chat room. Shout out to Romel. Shout out to my man Morel Modak. And somebody said 11. How many votes was it? Said 11,000. My man said 11. He gave me an exact 11,780. Find me 11,780 votes. My man Ramel Murdoch says it's like with gangs forming, hits out, so gang can't be blamed, but the actual hitman. Yeah, man. Are y'all starting to see all 4 of these lawyers are black? Out of 1.3 million attorneys, you couldn't find one white lawyer who wanted to take this case? Just think about that. You got 1.3 million lawyers. 4.5% of those are black, which is about 50,000. You couldn't find one white lawyer that wanted to take the case? Not one white lawyer out of all of them. Somebody type set up in the chat room. So here's the thing, and summing it up, I'm presented these key figures, the prosecutors in Georgia, New York, and Florida, who are playing a role in the legal challenges facing Donald Trump. Ex-president, this is your president. Now, each of them brings a great background and perspective to their respective cases. But I find myself pondering the commonality that they share. And I invite you to join me in that contemplation. What unites these individuals in their legal pursuit against the former president? Well, first of all, they're all black. That's the first thing. All of them. How that happened? How did all of the attorneys who are prosecuting Donald Trump end up being black? How did that happen? Heck with the Democrat part, they're all black. And so when I think about this, my thoughts drift back to the days when I was at Grambling State University. Somebody say GSU. Somebody type GSU in the chat room, the blackest university of all black universities in America. And while out there, I deeply immersed myself in black cultural studies, not in the class, but outside the class. The 5%, the earths, the moons, the suns, right? The nation, black empowerment, all the great heroes. I'm reminded of all the great leaders. One of them in particular was Dr. John Heinrich Clark. He was a scholar. He was from New York. Well, he wasn't from New York, but he ended up teaching in New York. And his insights shaped a lot of my understanding. Significantly, one of his teachings that resonates with me right now. Somebody type Dr. Clark in the chat room. What did he say? He said, white supremacy always breaks its tools. And this concept stayed with me as I delved into the world of law and justice. What do you mean? White supremacy always breaks its tools. What that means is these people who are set up to do the dirt, these attack dogs. Somebody type black attack dog in the chat room. These puppets out here, they want to prove something. They want to get out there and they want to show that they're good enough, even though they already clearly are good enough. They've done a lot. They've done a lot. They pull themselves up. Like, isn't that the American dream? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. They did that. And yet they still feel like they have more to prove. Nevertheless, this concept stayed with me. And when I look at these 4 black attorneys, I see a pattern. None of them come from billionaire families. They're not rich. Somebody type not rich in the chat. You got this girl going to jail because she's trying to get $90,000 out of her goddamn retirement fund. None of them have deep-rooted connections to the American elite. So they're not rich, and they're not that socially connected. Many are first-generation Americans like Haitian-born Marquinza LaPont. Or they have modest backgrounds like Alvin Bragg, whose parents were ordinary working class people. Fannie Willis, she from Inglewood. I know her people ain't rich. She might not even have any significant ties outside of professional life in Fulton, Georgia, because she's from California. These observations lead me to ponder the implications of their roles in prosecuting Trump. Generally, taking on the case against the former president might be seen as a coveted opportunity, a career-defining moment. I mean, look, if you could get a rapper and you can make a name off putting a rapper in jail, wouldn't you want to put a president in jail? I mean, you had a dude run on the fact that he was going to put Bill Cosby in jail. You had all these other people who made a name, Marsha Clark prosecuting O.J. Simpson, Chris Darden prosecuting O.J. Simpson, win or lose. These lawyers were chomping at the bit to get a piece of that. They get to be on TV, they get accolades. But for some reason, for whatever reason, just all black people end up being prosecuted. Where the white lawyers at? Huh? Where all the white lawyers that want to participate in this high stakes trial? Huh? Let me tell you something. If these cases fail, or if a scapegoat is needed, it strikes me that the individuals, due to their backgrounds and their skin color, they'll be deemed expendable in the grander scheme of political and legal machinations. When I look, these cases themselves are precarious, to say the least. The 37-count indictment in Florida sounds big, but it appears to be tenuous. It might not even withstand scrutiny at a higher judicial level, potentially jeopardizing the career of the prosecutor pursuing it. Letitia James's case, investigation into Trump's dealings in New York. There's a lot of challenges and uncertainties in it. Hell, look at the sitting judge. He's been charged with unethical violations during the trial. He's issued an unconstitutional gag order. And there's some questions about his biasness and the biasness of his law clerk. Now, as I try to make sense of these dynamics, I can't help but wonder about the big picture. What does it mean that all four of these prosecutors share these particular backgrounds? Black, not rich, not socially connected. And why, in this high stakes legal battle against a former president who's a billionaire, do they all bear striking resemblance in the terms of their social political standing? These questions linger in my mind as I continue to explore the intricate and often opaque world of legal and political power plays. As an attorney who has invested years in acquiring my law degree and achieving my current professional status, I am compelled to examine the dynamics at play in the prosecution of Donald Trump. It's not that I doubt the brilliance of these lawyers. My query is more nuanced. Why? Specifically, are attorneys like Alvin Bragg leading these challenging cases? And when I say challenging, I don't mean it in a good way. Throughout the legal community, these legal battles nationally are regarded tenuous at best. The gravity of these cases and the potential consequences they bear for the attorneys involved can't be overstated. It's crucial to understand that our journey as Black Americans, as immigrant Black Americans, through law school and through the legal profession, it was not easy. Somebody type "not easy" in the chat room. Now, for me to then see fellow Black attorneys in prominent positions potentially being positioned as fall guys and fall ladies in high-profile political cases, it raises serious questions about the value and the recognition of our careers and reputations. Do you not see what's going on, brothers and sisters? Brother Bragg, Mrs. James, Mrs. Willis, Mr. LaPont, do you not see what happened to Ms. Mosby? See, this phenomenon where all the attorneys prosecuting in these controversial, tenuous cases, all Black, while simultaneously being criticized for the weak nature of these cases, it strikes me as more than a mere coincidence. I don't believe in that type of coincidence. I have to ask myself, and you should be asking yourself, is there an underlying strategy at play? Positioning these individuals in the roles where they might bear the brunt of the legal or political fallout. Somebody type revenge in the chat room. Somebody type revenge in the chat room. Somebody type Trump ain't the one in the chat room. Somebody type Trump ain't the one in the chat room. Somebody type payback in the chat room. See, the first thing I like to understand is who we are dealing with in a case. And in the case of Donald Trump, one must acknowledge his philosophy on retaliation is an eye for an eye. His belief in getting even and refusal to turn the other cheek might pose significant risk for those involved in this prosecution. If Trump would have returned to office, or retained significant influence, the implications for those who have acted against him could be dire, especially considering that most of these cases are likely to be escalated to the Supreme Court, where they are more likely than not going to be overturned. The Presidential Records Act, which is at the heart of this Florida case, and the intricacies of the legal documentation further complicates this case. Proven malfeasance on Trump's part, particularly in regard to these classified documents, that's going to be a substantial challenge. I don't care if you got 37 charges, 370 charges. And that's just one. But when I reflect on the potential outcome of these cases against Trump, I'm critically aware of the legal nuances and the broader implications for those attorneys involved, particularly considering my own journey and the diligence required to succeed in this field. In the Southern District of Florida case, if it's proven that Trump didn't violate any laws regarding the handling of the classified documents, then the case might be dismissed right at the trial level. Or if not, it's dismissed on the appellate level. But definitely by the time it reaches the Supreme Court, it's out of here. That this outcome leaves that brother, Mr. LaPont, the prosecutor, appointed by Joe Biden in a precarious situation, especially if Trump would have returned to power. This could lead that prosecutor to removal from the Southern District of Florida. I believe so. Or suspension. And then once he's stripped of that power, it's amazing how easily people can be disbarred. Somebody type Miss Mosby in the chat room. Now let's turn to Alvin Bragg's case in New York. The reliance on a discredited witness like Trump's former lawyer, Mr. Cohen, who has a history of perjury, it raises serious ethical and legal concerns. A prosecutor's decision to knowingly bring a dishonest witness to the stand, that could result in disbarment. Somebody type Ms. Mosby in the chat room. Mind you, Alvin Bragg is a Harvard-educated lawyer. His attempt to merge unrelated legal issues, improper business records, and misused campaign fund, it further complicates the case. Look, I explained to y'all earlier, the federal and the state, the federal court, if it's a federal court issue, it's going to be superseded. I mean, the state court issue is going to be superseded by the state. You don't go from federal to state, you go from state to federal. But he's a state court prosecutor, basically trying to prosecute federal court matters. This mix up of state and federal matters, it could lead to dismissal of the case on appeal. Hence, Bragg's career could be in jeopardy by his problematic approach. You're looking at disbarment, and you're looking at what? Unfair prosecution or malicious prosecution. Now let's look at this Georgia Fannie Willis. She faces her own set of challenges. Despite the significant black population, Georgia as a whole does not mirror this demographic. Engaging in such a high-profile case against Trump, it could make her a target for her political adversaries, much like somebody type Ms. Mosby in the chat room. Somebody type Marilyn Mosby, former Baltimore prosecutor who faced legal troubles years later after the Freddie Gray case. It appears that Fannie Willis is setting herself up for a significant professional risk. Because again, once that case gets appealed up to the Supreme Court, they're not putting the president in jail. They're not going to put a president. How do you put a president in jail? He got 4, 5, 10, 15 Secret Service agents around. How is that going to even work? Look, just analyze that. How is that even going to work? Similarly, Letitia James, Attorney General of New York, taking substantial risk with her career after this prosecution. The judge is already looking like they're trying to get rid of him. He's going to go before he's already looking like he's in violation of ethical canon. And so this brings to question why it seems to be that there are black attorneys who are at the forefront of this risky, high-stakes litigation against Trump. Do y'all, is this ringing any bells to you guys? Imagine if you had a room full of doctors and the doctors who were in charge to take care of the patients who were the worst off, they were all black. I mean, they coming in there on the cusp of death, and you supposed to perform a 15-hour complicated brain surgery on them to try to save them. Why is it that these black, all for you, wasn't one white doctor that wanted to step up? Somebody type step up. It wasn't one white doctor that wanted to step up. It wasn't one black white lawyer who wanted to step up and get involved in this high risk litigation. Where are all the white attorneys who are equally willing to take on such a polarizing figure and risk revenge? Hell, it's even hard for Trump to find lawyers willing to defend him. Because he's creating a lot of creating adversaries. They'd be creating adversaries. They got a whole organization designed or created to write bar complaints on the lawyers who represent Donald Trump. It's beef. Somebody type, it's beef in the chat room. So I question the rationale behind these black attorneys taking on such precarious cases. While some might see glory in prosecuting a former president, to me it seems more like a setup. Somebody type setup in the chat room. Where all of them are being used as pawns in a larger political game. You know old Joe Biden don't like black folk. Y'all know old smoking Joe Biden don't like black folks. He was a segregationist, came up with the 1994 crime bill. If he can't get you one way, he'll get you the other. I mean, this man, I can just imagine the phone call. Look, I need you to go ahead and prosecute. Next thing I need you to. Next thing you know, y'all look up all the lawyers at the forefront are all black. Why are these attorneys in their prominent positions seemingly, why are they all black? You think it's merely coincidence that all four prosecutors trying to either cause Trump to go broke, lose his business, or put him in prison, all black? The likelihood of that happening is preposterous, in my opinion. And this occurrence was purposeful and deliberate. This was contrived. The notion that these black attorneys are shouldering the burden, taking the heat in these high-profile cases, while their white counterparts are conspicuously absent, it raises critical questions. The situation appears to reflect a broader systematic issue within the legal profession and most other professions. It's concerning the scenario where if a mistake is made, it's the black attorneys who bear the brunt, with limited avenues for recourse or defense. Because all your little white friends are going to scatter when it happens. All them people petting you on the back. Good job, Letitia. Good job, Alvin. Good job, Fanny. They're going to disappear. And again, this dynamic is particularly troubling considering the small percentage of black lawyers in the United States. 4.5% out of 1.3 million lawyers. 4.5% of them are black. And yet all the people prosecuting Donald Trump are black. That's statistically unheard of. Hell, rarely do black attorneys reach such prominent positions. And it seems almost as if they're being positioned as fall guys. A setup. Somebody type setup in the chat room. A setup. And they need to be wary of what they're falling into. In my professional experience, working along affluent white lawyers, I've always maintained a principle of equal risk and investment. I refuse to be the fall guy in any situation. I insist on having my career and my legacy remain intact, not jeopardized by disproportionate risk or setups. They volunteered for that, though. They could have easily said no. Why? Did they feel like they had something to prove to the dominant society? Did they feel like they needed to go that extra? You've already proved yourself. You've done more than enough. The fact that such a critical legal battle is predominantly being fought by black attorneys should not be overlooked or taken lightly. It calls for a deeper understanding and perhaps a call to action, ensuring that the legal profession in its high-stakes cases do not become the grounds for racial disparities and unjust professional sacrifices. Just throw the black dude under the bus. Just throw the black woman under the bus. You got 1.3 million attorneys in America, and only 4.5% are black. Now think about it. Why are these few black attorneys like Markenzie LaPont, Alvin Bragg, Fannie Williams, Letitia James, front and center in prosecuting Donald Trump? Out of all the lawyers in the land, these are the ones stepping into the fire. This isn't just odd, it's a setup. Somebody type setup in the chat room. These attorneys are coming from modest backgrounds without deep-seated political or financial clout. And they're being thrust into this legal lion's den. Look at Marilyn Mosby. She walked this path and she's facing the backlash right now. She's been in the trenches, fighting high-profile, politically charged battles. And what did it get? Got her name dragged through the mud. That's the playbook for black professionals in these spots. So these attorneys taking on Trump, what do you think is waiting for them at the end of this high-stakes game? A precarious path, riddled with legal landmines, ethical dilemmas, and the kind of risks that can end careers. That's what's waiting. Let me lay it out straight. Being used as a pawn in a political chess game between white folks, between members of the dominant society, it's a real danger. And these black attorneys, feeling as though they have something to prove, they're in a vulnerable spot. If they succeed, they're heroes for the moment. Somebody type "for the moment" in the chat room. But if they fail, or if the political winds change, who do you think is going to take the fall? Them. They're navigating a landscape where being black and in a position of power puts them in the crosshairs. It's not just about justice. It's about who's in power, who gets to call the shots, who gets thrown under the bus, and when things go south. So here's a warning. Y'all listening? Here's a warning. Listen. And this is for everybody else because it's too late for them. I'm talking to you who are listening to me right now in YouTube land. And everybody on the rebroadcast. I don't care if you're a truck driver or a school teacher. I don't care. I don't care if you're a doctor or you make dictation machines. I don't care if you're a student or a salesman. Don't let yourself be used by people who don't have your best interests at heart. These cases, they're more than just legal battles. This is political warfare. And these black attorneys are at the forefront. Same thing goes on in your office politics. Their careers and their reputations and their future, just like your career, your reputation, and your future, at risk. That's the risk they're taking. And for what? For what? To be part of a narrative that often sees black professionals rise only to be pulled down? That's the reality of the life that we live here in the United States, not just the legal game. It's a litmus test. It's a litmus test for how the system treats black power players. Watch and learn. Because this is more than just courtrooms and legal briefs. It's about race. It's about power. Who gets to write the story? And who gets to write the story at the end of the day? You've been warned. Be careful. Nevertheless, I feel as though I've earned my keep. If you feel as though I've earned my keep, it's time for you to pay me for my time. If you've learned something, if you've been inspired, if you're willing to look at something, when you go to the office tomorrow and John tries to get you to go in there and tell the boss on behalf of all the staff that y'all want to raise, say, no, not me. You can go, John. I'll sit right here. Next time, them folks from over the seas try to get you to go out there and protest for some people that you don't know and ain't never seen, and risk losing your scholarship at your law school or medical school for some people that's in war with each other and been in war with each other for 2,000 years? You say, no, I think I'll pass. That's not my problem. The next time your little classmates try to get you to go tell the teacher or professor you want to get off early on Friday, say, no, I'm going to let Megan and Heather and Maria and Jose do that. Keisha, Tyrone, and Jamal are going to go sit in the back. Y'all can handle that. How about that? Oh, but Keisha, you're so loud and you're so vocal. And you know, John loves you. He has a thing for black girls. He'll listen to you. You're so outspoken. Why don't you go do it? No, I'm good. Keisha, you go sit yourself down. And you make sure Tyrone sits down too, because he don't have nothing to prove. Don't be a black pawn. It's a setup. Don't be a black pawn. Whether you're a lawyer, a legislator, or you operate a forklift, don't be a black pawn for people in their political game. The pawns are usually the first ones to go. Don't do it. Don't do it. I know y'all learned something, baby. I know y'all learned something. I know you did. I got you thinking right now. I can see y'all out there, your little wheels. You damn right. He sure is. I remember that. Yeah. They're always trying to get me out front to do stuff. They are. Yeah. All the black police officers, all the truck drivers, all the union members, they want to put you out front. Let you go in there into the lion's den and get them a raise. Because if something happened to you, they don't care. Well, it's just a black guy. You know how they are. Now you around there dealing with the brunt of the office politics, and they gone. They disappear. Well, you know, the only thing they'll do is, well, they'll come out, yeah, man, I'm so proud of you. But they won't stand up. They got you standing up. They got you out front, taking them hits, not getting paid any more money. Don't do it. Somebody type in the chat room. Come on. Who can spell that? Somebody type in the chat room. Come on now. No way. No. Somebody say no. Say no. Somebody type no in the chat room. Anyway, man, y'all pay me for my time, man. If you feel like you learned something, you feel like you've been motivated, man, pay me for my time. What's up? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D. People wash their ass in the tub, Kamala Harris.
You would tune in to Uncle D. D's black man talk. Pull up, homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something, then you earn something. Let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies, talking ratchet. Lizard King here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Attorney Spurling, this ain't pearly, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shooting, give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Molly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, voting earns. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you been served, gotta notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Flowbee and cut your own damn hair from now on.